Say Max on vacation.
Okay, you all set, Greg?
And he's talking, he's in,
All right,
joining us from vacation.
Yeah.
Just-
we're good.
And he's,
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, 15 February 2024, and this is the regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I am Rich Reader, the chair, and as almost always, maybe even always, with me here today, Bob Freeze, the vice chair, and Wendy Rathgeber, a select board member. So call to order. We have a quorum. And I'd like to just note at the outset that our town manager, Mark Dakota, is on vacation, but is joining us via Zoom. Good afternoon, Mark.
Morning or afternoon, it is afternoon.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
Yeah, your audio isn't working properly. We can hear you, but we get a lot of static with it.
How about now?
Still. Try talking again.
How about now?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of static every time you talk.
How about now?
Good.
Now you got it. All right. So, good afternoon, Mark, and glad that we can now hear you clearly. Okay, so privilege of the floor. I do not see anybody here in the room, so we'll move forward to approval of minutes. I think we have two sets of minutes for January and 11 January 2024. I think all three of us have had a chance to look at them and we've made our amendments to them, corrections, what have you. So, would someone like to move to approve the minutes as amended for both?
Yeah, so moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
it's for all three.
Two.
Two.
The 18th we haven't gotten. It's the
Okay,
4th
okay,
and the
all
11th.
right.
Yeah. I think Sharon was being overly hopeful, maybe
A little.
a little, but I'm sure we'll get them in time for the next meeting, which isn't for 3 weeks, I think, is our next select board meeting.
Give you a bunch.
Can't wait for it. It makes my day. Alrighty, department head updates, and why don't we start with that color just doesn't work for me. I don't know what to tell you. So
One of my favorite colors now.
yeah, it's
All the time.
all right. So what's happening in Public Works, Megan?
Well, obviously, we haven't had that much snow, so haven't really been plowing.
Do you guys keep track of the amount of snow?
The amount of snow we do, yes.
So how much have we had?
I'd have to look at it again. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
All right,
But.
Just
I can
curious.
Get you that number for.
that's all right. I'm just curious.
Um, right now, I've been working on things for the future for this coming spring and summer. Been signing up the guys in a lot of training courses, coming up with some new ideas to kind of get the public works image out into the community, kind of get a little bit of involvement there. Put a new cutting edge on the plow. We already ran through one, we're putting a new one on, it's a different type, to see if it would also help reduce some of our salt usage as well. It's supposed to scrape a little bit better than our previous cutting edges. Got some new stuff for the trash truck, make it a little bit safer. The hooks were starting to wear, so we got the new hooks in. Hopefully next week those will go on, make it a little safer for the guys when they're tipping the dumpsters. But overall, not much going on there, just preparing for spring and summer, like I said.
I know you weren't here last year, but is the skid steer do as good a job, I wonder, as on the sidewalks as what we used to
The
do?
previous machine?
So the snow blower itself is a little bit wider than the old snow blower. The crew has been trying to figure out, and they're getting accustomed to it because it rides slightly different than the sidewalk machine itself. And the tires were larger. so it was pushing us off of the sidewalk in some areas. We did get snow tires, which brought our overall stance in narrower, so that way we could stay on the sidewalk. But since we've done that, we haven't had any snow, so we haven't been able to test it out to truly see if it has helped. But we are watching the options and seeing what is gonna help us clear those sidewalks a little bit easier. Going down into the intersections where it has the ADA bumps, it does make it a little difficult. When we're going over it with the snow blower, it catches sometimes, so they lift it slightly, so that's why you'll see the amounts of snow still deposited there. There's a few ideas we've been throwing around, maybe getting a blade attachment for the skid steer to be able to push it back into the side a little bit easier instead of having those clumps of snow still piled up there. So we're watching it, making sure that it's taken care of properly.
Yeah, I don't think the previous machine we had was able to get the Valley Road from roughly around the bridge, right? That's always
That's
too
what we
narrow
are.
for any
Yeah,
machine that we've,
correct.
It just looks to me like there's a little bit of surface we end up leaving there with the snow blower that,
that it does go over.
yeah.
It's okay.
I don't know, but we haven't had much snow to really judge it, but
Yeah, and that most of that is contributed to the larger tires that were pushing us off into the road a little bit more. So hopefully these narrow tires will help that out. Hopefully, if we get snow like we're supposed to tonight, we'll be able to test it out and truly see if it's helping.
Okay, anything else?
employees, you've got. Are we adding somebody in that department eventually?
As far as it
Yes.
stands right now, yes, we are set to add AJ into the crew. We've been working on some stuff down in the DPW. We were thinking about, purchasing some lockers. We only had 3 lockers for the 6 people that are down there right now. So what we actually did, we just finished up a little bit ago, that's why I was slightly late. Was we built into where their lockers were, this our storage area. We built 7 lockers so that way it could accompany all of the people we currently have and the new addition as well.
You're thinking of the CDL
Yeah.
driver, Bob?
We're still working on that.
Still on track, yep.
We have an offer out and we're just waiting and hoping for acceptance.
Okay,
Mhm. Did he give you any kind of initial feedback on the offer?
I think he's contemplating, so what I've realized is that the CDL candidates that we had were typically working for large contracting companies and utilizing their CDL license to drive the big dump trucks that haul away rock and debris from construction projects. And I think their rate of pay is slightly higher than what we've advertised. However, our benefits package again and our ability to provide work 365, whereas those employees are generally laid off for a little bit in the winter, is gonna balance out and play to my favor.
He's local with a family, right? So
Correct,
it's not an issue of housing or.
No, just making sure he can make the finances work.
Okay, good. Well, we'll look forward to hopefully him accepting and then I guess you guys are already working on re-looking at our transfer station and our whole solid waste disposal operation, integrate him in with Mike and Jen.
We
Great.
anticipate probably a 2-month, training period for the new CDL driver to get acclimated with the route that we do on the trash truck and the operations of the vehicle. But we're hopeful after 60 days, that's what we slated for a probationary period. He'll be comfortable in the
Great.
role and move
Great.
forward.
And speaking of the transfer station, have you made any changes? What with Mass School Week coming up for next week with regard to days and hours?
It should be posted. I have to look at it.
Did you go through March? I think, I don't
I think we
remember.
did through March.
If we did, I see you nodding yes.
so it's online.
It's online. It has been since the December
We did,
timeframe when
right,
we
okay.
changed, we updated the dates. We
Yes.
did that calendar out through, I think,
Through
the end
March.
of February,
Oh,
beginning
end
of
of February, okay,
So we do have the 18th will be open 9 to 5, the 19th, 7:30 to 3, 20th, 8 to 6.
so that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
Correct, yep.
right?
And then we're back to normal for that next week.
Okay, so today, the 15th, and then the next opportunity is 18th, so 18, 19, 20, and then 22, 25
Yep.
is the schedule, so, but in the hours are posted.
They are.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we got that all out for everybody. Wendy, any questions for Public Works? Any more? Alrighty. Why don't, you go ahead, Steve, and continue on with administrative services?
Very well. So we've been, especially Sharon's been working pretty feverishly, getting things ready for town meeting. A lot of entry now falls upon the accounting office. Once we have our budget nearly finalized, we have to work with the Department of Revenue and make sure that we have all of our budgetary information uploaded to their portal, along with the warrant article language, to make sure that that all ticks and ties with the legalese around that. We have started an interview process for a part-time admin associate. We've conducted 4 interviews to date and hope to have 1 more, and then bring in some candidates for second interviews into the coming weeks. Outside of that, I had provided a financial report a little late, not in the original packet, but did anyone have any questions?
And
No, I was fine.
Just some highlights, if you will, for, general government. A lot of that expense of the 267 is comprised of wages, 120K in wages, 125K in our annual property and liability and workers' comp insurance, and 11,000 in the transit services to the mountain. If you go down to public safety, again, most of it in wages, 115. We had a $7,000 expense to the Grafton dispatch, the dispatch services that we use. Highway and streets, we have 56 of that 124 is in the FEMA damages that we've racked up this year. 36K in wages and benefits, and 20 in winter maintenance salt expense primarily. And then sanitation, of that 142, 79 of it is in wages, 17 in chemicals, 10K in utilities, and 8,000 in solid waste disposals. And in culture and recreation, pretty much 41, almost all of that was in wages and benefits. And if you look above, that's small, but I wanted to highlight that 9630 in public safety revenue. That was revenue related to the EMS course that's coming up that we're gonna be doing. When does that start, Dave?
It started.
Started already?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the revenue we've received in for those classes.
so we okay on the town report going to print and all that's online?
We're very nearly finalized.
Yeah. There's some substitutions of pages exchanged back and forth, but so I'm waiting for a final proof. Maybe tomorrow.
Mark, do we want to talk about the town meeting warrant at this point?
If you want to,
Some of the
yeah,
changes we made, I don't see we have it as a separate. Oh, we want to do it on the final budget review?
yeah,
Lump that
that's
with
when
budget?
I was gonna do it.
Okay, that's fine.
Mhm.
That's great. Yeah. And no word yet from the state or FEMA with regard to
Declaration.
declaration?
Not yet.
Is that a bad sign, you think?
No, I don't yet. It could take another month or so. I am not worried yet that it'll be done. It just impacted too many communities in the state, so, and we're getting, Dave, you're not getting anything from Homeland Security that it's not gonna be a declaration?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So far, no news is good news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
I think a point of reference on that, there was a storm in December of 22, Bob, where we didn't see FEMA get engaged until May of 23. April and May of 23, if I recall correctly. That was the damage that was done to a couple of manholes in that culvert up on Jennings Peak. So it took a little while in that scenario.
Are we done with other repairs from that storm?
With, without asphalt, yes.
Okay. Dylan, what's happening in wastewater and water?
So today, had some maintenance that we had to tend to, replace a couple of U-joints on pilot pumps for the raw wastewater. Had to replace a couple of solenoids on a micro strainer. That's what takes care of all the screens. So some stuff that just came up all at the same time, kind of. So luckily we had the parts to do that. Other than that, last meeting we had talked about invoice from Ellie Johnston for the water main repair. I haven't received that yet. I inquired to them about that, so I still don't have that in hand. I know you asked about it last meeting, but other than that, just same old and trying to keep up with everything. I can touch on the wastewater project if you like. I know it's another.
That's later on. Why don't we just
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll do it a little later
Unless you have
on.
any questions, I don't have really
Right.
anything for it.
Everything working out nicely with the 3-man
Yeah.
operation? Or 3.5, right?
Yeah, it's going well, but it's good to have an extra set of hands too, because
Mhm.
we have multiple issues going on both utilities. It's how do you divide and conquer if you only have one person on each, if you will. So yeah, it's worked out well.
Great. Okay. Any
Really
questions?
appreciate, we haven't had a lot of snow, but I appreciate they did use the Bobcat and the snow blower attachment during the last few storms and knocked out our hydrants for us, which were usually hand done. So that was actually we very much appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Good.
Good piece of equipment to have for sure, and definitely
Mhm. Seems very versatile.
for sure.
Any questions for Dylan? Alrighty. All quiet and rec, Brooke?
Never quiet.
Coming up to the big
Yeah, yeah.
the big show next week, or
Scheduled.
not next week, probably Saturday
Really,
starting, right?
yeah, it really starts Saturday,
Yeah.
Friday night when people start arriving, but
Yeah.
we have a full schedule of evening programs starting Saturday essentially. So we're just all staffed up and ready for that. Hopefully everyone stays healthy and we can serve a lot of people. We have also a pickleball tournament coming up at the end of March that we are just trying to announce and gather interest for. And we have some hikes coming up, lots of hikes and snowshoes. People are really getting interested in that. That's been great. We had a WVRA meeting this week, board meeting, and a lot was discussed, but one thing that was really interesting for us is that we're, as a WVRA, there's some money that we're gonna be putting forward for some marketing for an employment campaign for Waterville Valley so basically it's going to be this big campaign to say work in Waterville Valley, here are all the places you can work and here are the benefits to working here. So I think that'll be awesome for us at the rec department and all the other businesses in town. So I'm excited about that. We're also sort of the pickup location for the Golden Antler Adventure Hunt that we're putting out. So that's, the rec department is gonna be giving out the prizes and taking the names and email addresses for the WVRA on that front. So that's pretty much all that's going on right now. Camp will be coming up, the registration for that, but not until just after town meeting. It's usually when we open that up.
So how does the golden antler thing work?
There's clues and there are these gold antlers that have been mounted around town. And so there's these little clues that you have to find it. You have to take a picture of it. I don't know how many clues there are. I think it's-
10,
Are there 10?
yeah.
10 clues. And when you take a picture of all of your all of your golden antlers, and then you share it on social media, then you go to the rec department and show us your proof, and then we give you a little golden antler or a little moose keychain, right? Is it
It's something,
haven't actually
I
seen
haven't
it
seen the
yet,
keyring
but
myself either.
it's a keychain of some sort.
Yeah,
And so after a lot of deliberation, we realized that the rec department would be the best place to do that, since we have done things like this in the past. So
And you gotta do goofy pictures.
Yeah. So it'll be, hopefully, I mean, the whole idea is to get people sharing, you know, Waterville Valley on social media, and this is just a little, you know, activity to do.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you heard back, from the school board with regard to a request about, pickleball during the school, when school is in session during the week?
Nope,
Okay,
I haven't heard from them, but I also haven't sent an email follow-up, you know, I haven't done that yet, so that's maybe the next step is to send an email and ask the question.
yeah, I'm not sure when the next school board meeting is coming up, but it's,
I'm not sure either. They might not, the next one might be their district meeting. You know, on Monday, the 11th of March. That could be their next one.
Hmm.
Kind of like it is for the select board. Don't you use that as a selectman meeting as well?
right afterward, yes, we do a, yeah, I think you're right, I'm not seeing anything on my calendar for, school board over the next few weeks. So, yeah, maybe just a follow-up at some point, although I understand at this point, we're getting to the point where
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
For a little while, it's starting to drop off, but it's increased again. My wait lists are all the way back up to 8-10 people, so. It's not too late to let us do that, but they haven't reached out, so,
I have it on the 21st of March
okay,
as the next one, but I'm not sure if I'm up to date.
okay.
That's what I got. So you're right, it would be after. Alrighty. Any other questions for Brooke on rec? Yeah. So we graced today with both Chief Payer and Chief Noise. So you guys want to tag team DPS?
Here really for the prosecutor agreement.
Right.
We can tackle that now, or we can wait till.
Sure.
It's up
Sure.
to you.
Yeah, it's
So
what we had
just look-
talked about, right?
Yeah, so I'm just looking for that to get signed today, and to answer any questions that you guys may have in reference to it.
How many cases do we usually have a year that we have to?
So last year we had, mid to high 30s, criminal complaints. Those are just arrests, and the year before, I think we had 9, so we're almost 4 times as many. So a lot more.
So this agreement's for 10.
Yeah, so this agreement's for 10, so what we kind of do now is, it's getting, I have to be honest, like, before you could have a police prosecutor, and I handle the majority of them. I had one arraignment, this week on the 12th. Had another court case hearing this week. I had 4 last Monday at arraignment. I can handle the majority of them, but a lot of them are going to trial now, because if you arrest somebody for a second offense DWI, it's 30 days in jail mandatory now. So anybody that's you're arresting with jailable offenses is gonna go to trial. They're just not gonna take a plea deal and go to jail. So currently I have 2 cases that I have found guilty that I need to do motions to impose to go forward with suspended sentences because they've not been of good behavior. And I have 2 that I've actually talked to the prosecutor in Canton if we do get it, that are both gonna be trials too. So it's 4 trials, they're just very time consuming.
So those are the ones that you'll give, so you'll pick and choose which ones to give them.
Yeah, I'm gonna handle most of them still. It's just the ones that are gonna go to trial where you have all the pre-trial motions and all the hearings that have to be done prior, that it just gets me out of town multiple times versus if I can do a plea deal and arraignment, I only gotta leave town once per case versus going 3 to 4 times in the trial, so.
So
Now,
Go ahead.
how does that work out scheduling wise though? Cause they made it very clear that any conflicts, we would sort of take a back seat to.
So, yeah, so if we have any conflicts, and what they mean by that is, at one point, this attorney was a defense attorney. So if she gets somebody that she represented as a client in that very short time, she obviously, the bar will not allow her to then go against, there's a conflict. We have Katsariba still for that. He is not as available. I think right now we pay him, Dave may correct me if I'm wrong, $80 an hour, so it's almost the same amount. But we get precedent. Katz is super busy. He will help us though, and he did one last year for me. But we're getting just more and more. So that's where the conflict would come in.
Okay, I guess I was thinking timing wise, or if another town in this agreement had
No,
a
'cause
case.
The cool part is all the towns are in Plymouth District Court, where we would have
Gotcha.
ours.
Okay, so it
So
wouldn't be the
they
same
would
time.
never conflict, and
Gotcha.
it even gets to a point now where I've reached out to her and said, hey, I have 3 arraignments on Monday, can you cover them for me? And they do it at no additional charge.
Nice.
So there's
Okay.
stuff like that that helps out too. Also calling her, and that's the other thing that's great about this is if the officers are in the middle of something, this gives us the authority. I could use a case if it's a big one prior to doing anything and get legal advice on how to proceed. So it would count as a case, so but it would give us that small option.
Great.
So this agreement's with Campton, but does actually that mean Campton Thornton?
It's actually no, Thornton has their own prosecutor.
They do.
Yep, I did look into doing it through the Plymouth Association, and it's way more expensive.
Hmm.
And that would be the towns of, I think, Groton, Rumney, Plymouth, Ashland, they'll hire an attorney. This would just be Campton, Lincoln, Woodstock, and then us.
Right. It's for the context, it's the intermunicipal agreement for use of regional municipal prosecutor in the 4 towns.
Yes. Yes. So they
Would
have to
be
do the agreement, so
integrated.
what would happen today is if you guys do sign and agree, it still has to get approved from the Attorney General's office to do this. They'll go over and make sure there's nothing conflicting,
Mhm.
and then we would go forward with it at town meeting if the funds are approved.
Okay, so today you need from us
Just your signatures.
Just,
If you agree
to agree to the joining this intermunicipal, let me get the language correct again. Intermunicipal, no, thank you. So I am going to assume this is going to require direction. A motion and a vote, so I will move to accept to sign the intermunicipal agreement for use of regional municipal prosecutor, which the details of which we discussed, I think it was 1 or 2 meetings ago and further today, and have presented to us today. Yeah,
Second. Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye, all right.
If you have any other questions, I can answer them or I'll for today. Oh, yes, just got a phenomenal candidate that just walked in the front door and said, are you guys hiring? Part-time. He comes with 25 years experience from a fire perspective. He was a firefighter paramedic in Manchester, Connecticut. He's been a part-time police officer in New Hampshire since 2008. I said, yeah, you'd have to go to your EMT. He jumped on it within 2 days. So we offered him employment last week, and we're excited because he's got a wealth of.
So we had an opening.
So we have last year, Chris Hodges and Jeff Dropkin both let their police certs go. So we had technically 2 more part-time openings. So it's kind of just it's open. So and he just applied. So phenomenal candidate.
I
We
heard there
don't-
was some hockey.
We don't have a set number of part-timers, Bob. We basically will keep anyone on the list. And the numbers have been all over the place, but mostly down lately because of lack of staffing in every other department. So I think the more that we have part-timers available, the better off we'll be.
We've only had 1 active part-timer, that was Jim Sullivan, that lives here in town. So other than active, working regular scheduled part-timers, we didn't have any. Other than him,
Yeah.
so having a few of those folks, on standby for filling in shifts when needed and during the busy times, they're critical to have, so.
And Amanda will be done in a couple weeks. She'll be on her own. It'll be good.
Excellent.
Yes.
How was hockey going? I heard there was a couple of Saturday nights ago, they heard there was a disruption in the rink.
Yeah, I can tell you hockey has been interesting this year, to say the least. We have phenomenal weekends. I try to make a point to go to Town Square Monday and chop the jug down and, we either usually have a phenomenal weekend or and we're not that busy with them, and then the next weekend we are going over there nonstop. But I do wanna say something that we are working very well with Tucker and the guys that are over there. And I want the town to kind of know too that Tucker isn't putting up with it either. He is removing people and trespassing them, and he calls us and says they need help removing people, so. It's not, I think sometimes some people think they're not doing anything, they're holding people
It's the
accountable.
rink manager you're referring to.
Yeah, that's Tucker. So we work well with him on Friday, and, yes, and then during this year, we've arrested 3 or 4 already related to that, but, I mean, so. Yeah, it's just, it depends on the group that we get, it kind of depends on the ages of the kids too.
Different people every week.
Yeah, every weekend so many different, so it's very hard to.
Yeah.
go on that.
Yeah, it depends on the age of the
Yeah,
participants usually, what dictates. How busy, boys versus girls, usually
Yeah.
different. Much different too.
Very.
We held a coffee with a cop at the base lodge with the Silver Streakers on February 6th. It was probably the largest group we've ever seen up there. There had to been
40, I think.
I would say, yeah, 50,
Yeah.
60 of them
Nice.
were up there. We did post a picture of the whole group, so it was a good interaction because the majority of those are people that live here. Certainly, and seeing it was, I think it was the day before the budget hearing. We got to answer a lot of questions that I don't think they would necessarily come to us and ask, so it was just a kind of a timely event there. There is an open, we are preparing for Special Olympics Winter Games after vacation weeks, but just so you know, we just got an invitation and I wanted to extend it to the select board that there is a social gathering at the Coyote Grill, 5:30 to 7 on Sunday night. I believe that's the 3rd. So it's the
Yes, it's
last
the
Sunday of the
3rd.
New Hampshire week on the 3rd. You all are invited to be there. They haven't asked me or mentioned anything about speakers, but I don't know if Rich, they are looking for an introduction from the town. Would you want to be that? person?
Yeah, unless one of the other board members would like to do it, we can draw straws.
so isn't that
No.
when they normally do the thing in the town square?
Yes, so it's opening ceremony, so opening ceremony starts at 7:30.
Oh, okay.
So this is a pre-reception at the Coyote Grill. If you would like to go, I can forward you the email to RSVP, or I'd be more than happy to RSVP on your behalf. We'll be here, so we host all the law enforcement folks that come here, Special Olympics. We kind of open our doors for Special Olympics leading up to that. We have the AG food truck here. They prepare all the lunches that get delivered to all the hotels for the athletes here. So we've got a ton of volunteers and help them out. We're part of the resort experience. Eversource is usually out here with their bucket trucks, giving bucket truck rides. We do a touch a truck and usually like an obstacle course and open up the station to all the athletes. That Monday night, we then go up to the mountain. All the law enforcement folks and our staff go up and help serve dinner. And then they do the dance, and during the events, we actually assist in handing out medals on the local contact. So I'm the guy that gives all the assignments to all the law enforcement officers that come here and hand out medals for the entire event. So we're looking forward to that.
So that's on 3 March with a pre-opening ceremony dinner at 5:30 till
7. 7:30 is opening ceremony till about 8:30. They have the fireworks,
Right.
Lighting of the torch. We do the cruiser parade.
Same as last year,
Same, yeah,
parade in town square,
yep,
that sort of thing. All right, yeah, if you could forward the email to us,
sure,
take a look at it.
yep,
Thank you.
be happy to do that. we had, just going back to February 1st, 15 calls for service, 78% of those are EMS calls.
Hmm.
We did 14 inspections in that time, since going back last 15 days, including 2 today. Just did our first complete roof solar install inspection. So
Wow.
we've done panels and stuff before, but not a full blown whole house system. So it's kind of a learning curve for us too.
Is that out, residential?
It is, yeah, it was a
Alan?
house up on Snow's Mountain.
Yeah.
They had that done, so we met with the contractor, he walked us through the whole thing and, so, you know, we learned a lot in that respect. Pat and I, met with the, elementary school, we participate, we're on the safety committee there. We did write a letter, requesting, access to their video systems during emergencies. And I told Pat, I did hear back from the SAU today, just a couple hours ago, that they've drawn up an MOU, and they're gonna share that with us. And this is just a, access to the video systems in the schools only during emergencies.
Mhm.
So.
What we talked about last time.
We did, yep. So it sounds like they're committed in doing that. I'll review the MOU. If there's any issues, we can discuss it, but I'm not anticipating there will be any.
There'd be an MOU between the town and
In the SAU,
the SAU,
yeah, and I don't know how it's worded, if it's specifically with
the town or
the town or the police department or.
All right, well, when
or
you see it,
dispatch-
yeah.
Or dispatch centers. It's really for our dispatch centers,
right,
to be able to have.
flip the
that
switch,
access.
basically.
And I believe that's all I have. We're just getting ready for vacation week.
Dave, you have that request for the Ray Center?
Oh,
The-
It's on the ski joint.
oh,
Yeah,
yes,
it's not on the
Right.
agenda, right?
I do. Is it on?
I don't see it. I was just
No,
wondering.
it's not on the agenda. We received it after I worked on the agenda,
Oh,
so
it's got about it. I'll
we have-
run up and grab it. Ski touring this weekend. Pat's gonna be working. They're help managing the crowds. We did get a request for, offsite solicitation for barbecue. I read through it. Doesn't sound like it's a truck necessarily, more than just a trailer that he's gonna be cooking barbecue on.
yeah, it's a replacement, Dave, for the food trucks that they had there last year.
Yeah, okay.
So those folks are not showing up from what Steve has told me. So this barbecue is going to be the only on-site food. I think last year we had 2 or 3 vendors that were there along Boulder Path Road with food trucks.
Mhm.
So this is to replace
So
that.
same location and
Same location, same setup.
Combination.
It's
town right of
basically
way,
a
Craig's property.
noontime thing.
Yeah,
And-
so I'll grab the application and we'll.
Yeah, the
Right.
offsite solicitation application just should have a vote if you're okay with it.
Okay,
And I'll be there from 11 to 3,
that's this Saturday, right?
Sunday.
Sunday.
And what I've instructed and me and Mark have agreed that we're gonna keep them to one side of the road. Last year they were doing the petting on, so they were crossing.
Yeah.
Yes, traffic is not gonna be the best, but I'm gonna make sure they stay off of one complete side. And we've talked to them about getting permission for BBTS to do additional parking up there, so. There might be a couple hours of parking nightmare, it's a lot of people.
Mm.
So I'm gonna try to find them.
Okay. Anything else, chiefs?
Oh, I didn't get the radar numbers. I told Mark I'll get those for January and February, so you'll get the numbers for the cars.
Any questions from the board? DPS? All right, let's go ahead and move to calendar review.
Rich, can I do one thing that's
Sure.
not, on the agenda? The Moose Run Association and the Villas at Waterville Valley Association have been in discussions to separate the two associations from each other, so that there will be a standalone Villas, because the land where Villas is part of the approved Moose Run subdivision. So it falls under the Moose Run right now, under the Moose Run Association. But they have come to an agreement that rather than try to coordinate two different associations with two different voting entities, they would like to split into two. What I would like to do is take that to town council and make sure that there is nothing within the approvals from the planning board that would cause any problems with that, because the condominium documents, the association documents are part of the approval process
Yeah.
for the subdivision approvals by the planning board. So if it's all right with you, if town council says that there's no vote required or anything, we're just gonna issue a letter from me to the associations that the town concurs with that separation.
So
If
this
town-
is, so it's Moose Run and the Villas?
Yeah.
Moose Run and the Villas.
Okay,
Yeah, and so if town council says that there's some kind of vote, we'll go back to the planning board, or we'll come into you to get an official vote. But I think it's just an administrative thing. I don't foresee it as needing any amendment to an approved plan, but if town council says we have to do it, we will.
So there's no town infrastructure that they share per se?
No, there's nothing involved. Well, yeah, there's water and sewer lines, but it has
Oh.
nothing to do with their agreements.
Right.
So, yeah, we don't plow. We have a separate agreement with Moose Run for the plowing of the end of Lost Pass Road, but that doesn't affect the villas at all. So
Right.
there's nothing in common that we would have to worry about a separate written agreement with the town.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns with just going to council and asking them?
Sure, I'm good with that.
All right.
Board's
very
fine
good.
with that.
All right, we'll take that up
Go
with,
down that path.
with
See what
Joe.
we get. Alrighty, so calendar review, our next regular select board meeting is Thursday, 7 March. Here at 3 PM. Then we have our town meeting the following week. On 12 March, 6 PM in the elementary school gymnasium. The day before that, the school district will have its annual meeting, that's 11 March, also at 6 PM. At the elementary school gymnasium. And the next planning board meeting is 14 March here at 8 AM. Okay. Now moving on to other new business. So Charter Cable Television franchise renewal.
Yeah, so you have in your packets a proposal, well, not even a proposal yet, from DTC, Donahue, Tucker, Ciandella. This is a waiver of conflict of interest. This is so we isolate the franchise agreement into its own silo within DTC. So that if there's a separate issue that might be construed as a conflict of interest between the town of Waterville Valley and any of their other clients, then it doesn't affect the franchise agreement review. And if you're okay with this, then we will, let's see, what did they request that we do?
Have a
They
signature.
request that we just have a vote, that you are willing to waive the conflict of interest. And then we can continue to move forward, and they can give us an estimate, a proposal for the actual franchise review. But they would not do that without this vote from you, that you're okay with waiver.
But they, in this document, they list their rates. They're gonna charge us $200 an hour and $180 an hour and.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll get a proposal where they tell us their estimated number of hours to do the work and everything else. You know, I would not move forward without a separate, an actual separate agreement with a cap on it for the amount that we're willing to spend on their review. That way
So-
you guys can weigh in on how if you want to do it and how you want to do it.
So the presumption is that these guys are experts in negotiating with.
Yeah,
Okay, but-
DTC, I think, did the work in Rochester when I was there. I'm pretty sure that they are very highly regarded in this area.
They were referred to us by our town council.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any further questions or discussions on the matter?
No, I guess, these waivers kind of typical with.
The conflict of interest waivers are, I've seen them before in other settings. It's just that these firms all service all 250 towns in the state on many different matters. And so you can have towns that are in conflict, and some of these franchise agreements are multi-community agreements, right? So the distribution lines for the cable companies cross municipal borders. And so the franchise agreements are individual town agreements. And so there can be some conflict between them sometimes.
Okay,
So they just have to be careful on everybody understanding that there could be conflicts.
So we
Okay.
get, if
Go
I
ahead.
remember, we get something like, I'm gonna say $23,000 in franchise fees, something like that,
25.
25,000. And so what, a 10-year agreement? Is that typical?
It was either 10 or 15, Bob.
So we get 25,000 a year for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Just put that in context with how much we're gonna pay for attorneys.
Yeah, that's why I want to see what their estimate of the time is, Bob. Exactly for that reason, because if this is a proposed $50,000 or $75,000 contract, I don't know, you may want to think about it
Yeah,
Yeah, we may.
before we enter it.
I mean, I guess I'm wondering if these get, I guess we could talk about it later once we get a proposal, but
Mhm.
if they negotiate for many of the towns in New Hampshire, my guess is that most of the deals are pretty similar.
They might be. That's why I want to see what their estimate of the cost
Right.
is.
In which case, maybe the franchisee would just give us a proposal that's similar to what they give everybody else, and,
right.
you know, anyway, we can find out later on, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I see this as just the first step.
Okay,
Any further discussion or questions? Alrighty, so I will move that the board accept the proposed conflict of interest waiver and representation agreement as presented to us by the firm DTC.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, moving on to another agreement, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement.
Yep, this is the agreement I think that we discussed at the last meeting. And it is an amendment to the existing, or during the budget process. This is an amendment to the existing $4 million loan for an additional $6 million. And it's under the same terms and conditions with the two changes that are shown on this piece of paper. So we need to, before the state DES will accept it and forward it to the commissioner, we just need your vote to agree to these two changes.
I move we agree to the terms as presented. That's sufficient?
Yep, I think it is.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will let them know that we have amended our agreement to $10 million.
Alrighty, next topic is a couple of abatement requests, I believe.
I know it was a single abatement. I'd like to keep up with these as they go, or two, I'm sorry, two.
Yeah, one came in
abatement requests.
late March.
And I'd like to keep up with these as we go. We got caught at the end of the year that I hadn't shown you all of these abatements. These are abatements that I'm granting under your previous authorization to do so. And to complete the paperwork for the audit, you just need to ratify my decision, and we need to have a signed form in the file.
Right. Yeah, abatement in the amounts of $38.86. That's $38.86. The other one was what, 24 something?
14.
14.55. Oh, I see, right. It was 24.31 and 14.55 for a total of $38.86 abatement.
I move to ratify both abatements.
Second,
Yes, second.
all in favor? Aye. Signature? All right. Water and sewer rate increase.
Yeah, this item is to just set a date for the required public hearing. As you may recall, in our revenues, we did increase water and sewer rates. In our proposed 2024 rates, in order to put those rates into effect, it's required that you just hold a public hearing before that vote to change. So I'd like to get that on the calendar. It can be at your next meeting. It just needs to be prior to 1 April, because that'll be the billing date.
So it'll be on 7 March. We can just open up with a public hearing
Yeah,
and then move on to our regular board meeting.
yeah, that's what I'd like to do if it's all right with the board.
Yep, okay.
Any problems or questions or?
No, I think we
Okay.
talked through it.
Very good. We will add them.
Very good. All right, moving on to old business. Level 1 assessment by Monadnock Engineering. This has to do with the David Britton property that he has offered to donate to the town.
Well, you saw the paperwork. So
I think the question-
he found two documents that we have not been aware of in the past. They were provided to Mark Henderson by DES as part of the file down there. And they point, as he says in his email, I gave you the cover email that came with those two documents. It will, his phase one report will include a recommendation to move to the level 2 assessment. Mark and I discussed that, and he would recommend that we do a level 1A assessment that we discussed before, with the less intensive tests that are not required to be submitted to New Hampshire DES if he finds anything. After the level 1A tests are completed, he will provide us with a report which will indicate what he expects the level 2 tests to find, if anything.
Let's do it.
Can you remind me how much that would cost, level 1A?
Level 1A, we can, if our backhoe is available, it'll be just a couple of $1,000 was Mark's estimate. I will get an email with the actual number for you. But it would not be, we don't have to bring in an outside testing company. We can dig the test pits for him. If our equipment and personnel are available. Otherwise, he'll just have to bring in a machine with an outside contractor, which might increase the cost slightly. But it'll be mostly the testing at the lab that is the major cost of the level 1A.
Okay.
Once we get to the level 2, that's when they actually have to do the borings, and you have to bring in a drill machine to do that. So that's a lot more expensive because it's a much more comprehensive test.
Mark, can you ask if he's okay with the backhoe bucket, or are we gonna need to rent an auger?
No, there won't be an auger required. I've talked to him a little bit about it. I think he can do it with the backhoe bucket. But we will confirm if you want us to move ahead with the 1A, I will confirm all of that with Mark.
Yeah, no, I think so. We've decided a little while ago to go down this path, at least up to the 1A, and then have a hard stop and then decide what, if anything, we want to further do. I mean, this whole thing, including well, not including the 1A, I don't think it was a lot of money to get to this point, right? Can you
No, I
remember?
think his contract was what, $2,500?
2,500, so this will be adding probably another couple thousand
Yeah,
roughly to it.
yeah, at the most, yeah.
All right, no, I'm fine with it. Let's go ahead and
We need to vote.
Yes, I'd just like to have it for the record, so if any of us or all of us get hit by a moose. Yep. I'm trying to figure out what it is out here. I think it's possums or honey badgers or something. They don't have moose out here.
We move ahead with the 1A. What is that we call it?
yeah,
1A?
1A, level
1A
1A.
level, yep,
Environmental assessment of the piece of land in question.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Right,
okay.
all right. I will let Mark know, and Meg and I will coordinate via email with you on.
You have a timeline? I'm sorry, I missed it. If
No,
you
the
mentioned-
timeline will be weather dependent,
Right,
when we can get out there with the piece of equipment, depending on where he wants to do the test pitting.
Right,
Yeah, so it may be as late as April.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Wastewater project update. You're on, Dylan.
We had a meeting on Monday, with the engineering firm Black and Beach and a representative from Tyrell. It went very well. It was James Sununu. And, he basically walked us through their master plan or proposed master plan, if you will. So that way we can better understand how many, rooms they're anticipating with the hotels, conference, center.
This is to properly size the plant.
Correct, just to set
Right.
flows and loads, so that way they know exactly what type of facility would be best suitable for what we can expect. In, 20 years from now or so, and that's really I think that's, at this point, that's the best way to look at it, especially if we're anticipating doing this in a modular build. Is to think about it in a 20-year scope, if you will. And, if it's good for 50 years, then that's awesome, but just to look at it, again, projections. Well, Steve, do you recall how long that meeting went? I mean, we talked about, the septic system with him being present, and that was good because we got some insight from him, made him aware. But, and I think he was already aware that we're in this together, it's not just the town out on a limb here. We're working at this thing together because whatever the town ends up doing is gonna impact the resort
Mhm.
in any fashion, whether we have,
Sure.
doing a septic system or having to install a sewer line, it's, but really, I think the engineering firm got what they were looking for. We gave them the notice to proceed that morning as well. They acknowledged it, signed off on it, so they're at work now. So there's been a lot of emails and phone calls going back and forth the last few days, because they were working on it before, but now they're really, peeling back and taking a
Right.
deep dive into it, so,
And that long list of dates,
yes.
Yeah, we're on that work schedule now.
right?
Good, that's great.
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting, was to hear, and again, this is all projected by Tyrell, but their master plan. There's some components of it that they're looking at within a couple of years, and then.
Mhm.
Doing what? I'm sorry.
There's some components of it that they're looking at within the next couple of years. One of them was their, I think 80-room boutique hotel, that will be located on the.
Right where the pergola is now, where they have their wedding, outdoor wedding
Yep.
ceremony.
And that I believe they're anticipating that being the first phase of construction that they would do is that.
Right.
So, and realistically, that's gonna set the precedent, I think, going forward for if that happens, the time frame they're talking about, and if everything unfolds with the gondola. With that, that ignite. A developer or an investor to come in and support them with the rest of it. We also talked about employee housing and how that could impact the facility, because you gotta factor that in as well. If they build, 120 units that have 3 buildings each, that's almost their permanent population of Waterville Valley right now.
Right.
They feel. So
That's the proposal that's up Triple I Road, right, with the
Correct.
Forest Service, not the proposal
right,
for the conference center parking lot, which is a different project.
exactly. And
Right.
Yeah,
in that meeting, that
Yeah.
it doesn't seem likely that on Triple I, it doesn't seem likely that that's going to. There's not as much teeth in it as we thought there was on the resort side. So,
No, all right,
which is,
Really?
the problem is that, there's nobody that wants to build that because there's not really any opportunity to generate any revenue off of it, if you will. The Forest Service is the one that's behind it as well. It's as much, it's there to benefit them as much as it is the resort, so. What's the cost benefit, or what's the upside on them building it, I guess is the real issue at the moment, so. depending upon-
Yeah, there is revenue that might be generated from the Forest Service project. Just like they let us charge fees to the base lodge and the rest of the ski area, we would be able to charge the developer, whomever runs that housing development, we'd be able to charge them sewer fees.
Right, but.
We won't
but I
be
was-
using, I'm
I
sorry?
was talking more so about the actual developer themselves being able to recover any of that investment. Not.
Oh,
not-
yeah, no, that's their financial,
And I,
their financial assessment. I don't, yeah, who knows if, I would not count on the Forest Service land project moving forward in the next 5 to 7 years. It's gonna take a long time. And that's why they are pushing for the housing. They're contemplating moving forward the housing project that they've already brought in for conceptual consultation to the planning board. And he did say that they're going to continue that in that application in 24. And then the boutique hotel would be a 25 application. So though, I think those are the two immediate things.
so nevertheless, it was a good informative session.
Good.
Yeah.
Both, I think the town and engineering firm took a lot away from it, so.
So with regard to the septic system, has there been any further movement
No.
in that part of the fund?
Engineering firm was looking into, we had some good discussion about that, and some tactics, you know, because this is something that we're gonna have to present to the Forest Service.
Right.
So we just kind of went through and, discussed some of the ideas and reasons for it, you know.
This isn't to get onto the schedule, is that right, Mark?
Well.
For the small project?
One is fall, and we have to submit that either way, fall of this year.
Okay, right.
That's just to be eligible for them to approve it or deny it.
Okay.
But the other factor of what the Forest Service requested is a technical review of what the benefit to the Forest Service would be of having a septic system be on site versus installing a sewer line through the national forest to the wastewater treatment facility. So, and again, it's
2 mile long,
Yes.
50-foot wide,
exactly.
slash through the forest. We need to do a technical review to show that which of the two or a septic is better.
And that will
Yes.
be included with our Form 1. That'll be included with our Form 1 application.
I believe that's September or October of this year, that's due.
I see.
Yeah,
And presumably we hear not too far.
Yeah.
From
I
that-
recall, is it a 3-month turnaround? I think it's January that they'll have it answered whether or not we can proceed on it or not.
yes, and it's not an approval of the plan, it's to say we approve of the concept of the project
Right.
now.
Okay.
And then as part of that, they may give us an environmental impact study requirement or whatever else they need to. Or they may say, nope, this is good to go. Just next, give us the design. You don't need to do an environmental impact study. So we'll figure that out as we prepare the Form 1 application.
Okay, and this is now all integrated with our engineering firm,
Yes,
Black Beach. as
and
go
they will be
forward with
doing a technical, yes, and they'll be doing a technical memorandum for us as part of this. Yep.
All right. Any further discussion, questions, anything else, Mark or Dylan on the update wastewater project?
Just happy to be moving forward on it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something we'll have to discuss or at least present at town meeting. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about where things stand
It's
on that
It's on
project.
I will have a slide or slides for it.
Yep. All righty. Let's go to final budget review. So this when
Okay.
we can look at it. We're talking about the 24 budget, yeah?
Yep, 24 budget.
All right.
So when we have to, Steve and Judy have been putting the budget numbers into QuickBooks and then into our, it's a portal, an area in Department of Revenue Administration that we have to put in the warrant article information and all of the budget figures. And then that information is reviewed by DRA staff. And they give us back questions. So Steve and I have been talking to our DRA representative. And she has had several questions and several recommendations for wording on the warrant articles. Specifically, and some of them are just administrative. On, just as an example, on the use of fund balance, she recommended that we add into each one of those the words available on January 1, 2024.
For all the
So
amendments we mentioned fund
yeah,
balance.
and so Steve has made all of those changes. The only significant one, which we also had to talk about because of the conversations that we had with the request from the Ray Board, is Article number 19. Under Article number 19, the Ray Board had requested to reduce the amount from $90,000 to $30,000 and change the time frame from 3 years to 2 years. So we made that wording change. The other wording change that we have made at the recommendation of DRA is to add the word program after preschool. That's important because DRA is very sensitive to the use of the word school in any town warrant article, because by state law, you cannot commingle educational purposes with town purposes. So when they see the word school, they get nervous. So we've had to put a note into the DRA website that says this is not a Department of Education affiliated program, which it's not. And we added the word program there after preschool, which just tells DRA that this is not anything having to do with the Waterville Valley School District. And she has a similar arrangement in another town that she is the monitor for. The town of Raymond has a very similar preschool setup that is more of a child camp or care type thing rather than an actual school affiliated program. So do you have any questions on these changes that we've made in Article 19?
No, at least I don't, Bob or
No.
or Wendy. Do we need to re-vote on Article 19 since it
I
is
would, if you could,
different.
please. Yeah.
the others, I mean, just adding a January 1st as of January 1st. I don't think we need to go and re-vote all those, do we?
No, I don't
That was
think so.
understood.
Unless you want to. Steve, were there any other significant changes? I don't think there were there?
No, that's it. And just for clarification, rather than adding January 1, we removed January 1 from the article.
Oh, you removed it? Oh,
What?
It's-
Where's it?
I
no,
see
it says Article 20 says the December 31 fund balance available on January 1st. Isn't that
It's
what,
in all the articles
Yeah,
mentioning fund balance.
Still,
Yeah, you added them in.
Hmm.
That was her recommendation, add the words available on January 1st, 2024.
Might have to look at that one more time, Mark.
Okay, I thought when we were going through the portal, I thought that's what I read.
Okay.
All right, well, let's just go ahead and relook at that and let us
Yeah.
know.
Either way, I think it's just a formality, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it
well,
is.
let's just
It's
confirm, let's just
yes.
confirm. If not, I mean,
It doesn't change anything about the
it doesn't
warrant
change
article.
things.
No.
However, Article 19, I think, is a substantive change, so why don't I just go ahead out and read it for the record, and then
Yeah.
the board can take a vote. So the new language for Article 19 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the purpose of supporting the Curious Cottage preschool program operated by the Ray Center. This special warrant article will be a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:7, Roman numeral 6, and will not lapse until the preschool closes or by March 9, 2026, whichever is sooner. Funding for this purchase will come from general taxation. So now we need to take a vote on Article 19. I will go ahead and make the motion we don't need a motion, it's just a vote, right?
Yeah, vote whether or not you're gonna recommend approval.
Recommendation, right? So, okay,
Aye.
aye,
Aye.
all right, so
Okay, 3-0.
that will show as select board recommending approval by a vote of 3-0.
Yeah, and
Alrighty,
that's a
and then just-
majority vote required.
Majority vote required. Amount not included in Article 27 to finish all the exact language. So
Yeah.
just let us know on that fund
For
balance.
January 1st, yeah,
If that's all it is clarifying, I mean, it doesn't seem to me we need to re-vote on any of that. That was our understanding.
yep. Okay, and then
Alrighty.
the other part of this is we actually enter the budget into the DRA portal. And this is a machine check of all of our numbers. We did, she noted when we put in the numbers that it didn't balance. So if you look at Article 12, we had $690,000 previously
Warrant article.
under the purchase of a new fire engine pumper with 600, now it says $45,000. We had previously had a total of $1,190,000 in bond authorizations. That was not a correct number. The number was $1,145,000. So that reduced our revenues by that $45,000 because in essence, we put it in as both bond monies and as capital reserve, use of capital reserve funds. And so the numbers from the sheet that we provided or the MS 636 that we provided to you with the packet are different by that $45,000. The bottom line tax rate impact is 94 cents per thousand with all of the changes that we have made and with all of the checks by DRA.
And this is the town portion of the tax bill.
This is the town portion of the tax rate. And all of these numbers now tie out to the MS 636 draft, which you have there.
Alrighty, so do we need to relook at Article 12? Do we need to revote on that? for the
No,
45?
there's no change to it. It
Yeah.
was the revenue that we were
Yeah.
recording
Got it.
on our revenue sheet. So that now matches the DRA 636 report.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
And I
with
know,
regard-
Wendy, this is your first time through this process.
Yeah.
This is
Enjoying every minute of it.
It's really-
and sorry for all of these little changes here and there. But,
Right.
but this is part of I'm glad that DRA does this review rather than finding it. We used to find it after town meeting
That's awkward.
when I typed in, the wrong number or whatever. So it may be painful to keep changing the numbers, but it's better to do it before the votes happen.
No, absolutely.
Never
And
hurts
these
to have another
updated
pair of
numbers will show up in the town report.
Great, and I think the hope is that the new software coming online that's geared towards municipal accounting, if I can use that word, will very much help us avoid these sorts of manual
Yeah.
issues that come up every so often.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Right.
Yep.
Good.
I have a couple of visits just on that, Rich, I have a couple of visits coming up. I'm going down to the town of Swansea and Ringe on the 27th, and next week on the 22nd, I'm going to Hampton to see the software actually live and talk to the finance directors about,
Mhm.
what works well, what doesn't in their environment, and hopefully take away some best practices prior to the training and that we're receiving from this software group.
Remind me, the board, when do we think the IOC for this will be?
May 20th.
You got the exact, do you have the time?
No, no time guarantee, but I imagine in the morning of May 20th, we'll be up running and live with the new system.
Great. All right,
And so the next step in the process is once DRA approves the warrant, then we cannot right now produce a finalized 636 report. That does need your signatures as the board. So as long as the final 636 prints out with these same numbers, if we can just get the board to approve the draft as presented, then we would ask, once we print off the finalized one, that you come in and sign it. Steve can notify you by email when we have it printed out. And the 636 has to be attached to the warrant and posted with the warrant at the school. So we would need you to sign that prior to the next meeting.
okay, right, yeah, I guess the deadline is fast approaching
Yes.
for the noticing of the town meeting.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments, discussion?
Do we need to vote
Questions?
on this Then,
I don't think is there a vote needed on this?
Well, if you approve the draft 636 as
I-
presented.
I do not have it. Is it in front of us somewhere?
Oh, do you have it? If you,
All
so,
right,
no, if we just get the vote. If we get the vote, based on the budget summary that Steve just handed out.
right,
And just for the record, let me say, total appropriations of $8,164,449. Less revenues of $3,855,962. For an estimated amount of taxes to raise of $4,308,487. And that should be on the last page of the MS 636.
great. Okay, so you need a motion to accept the MS 636 for 2024 as presented during this discussion.
Yeah, I would just add the word draft 636.
Draft, yes, the
Yep.
draft, okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So that's just a matter of coming in once everything is finalized, and signing it. Bless you.
Bless you.
Okay, let's move on to the final topic under old business, which is select board meeting dates and times. We had discussed at our last meeting of reverting to our Wednesday, second and fourth Wednesday at 3 p.m. Meeting times for regular select board meetings. We wanted to think about it a little more, so and I guess we would think of starting it
April.
April.
Yeah,
See how that works.
I'm
Go ahead.
fine with that if you are.
Want to make sure we don't get a big gap in the calendar.
Do you want to do first and third or second and fourth?
I'm fine with just going back to the original. Does it matter? I mean, is there any advantage one way or the other? As far as this town is concerned? So
No,
we would go
I
from-
don't, it's really your schedule preference.
well, just,
Mhm.
so the first meeting would be on the third, if we did first and third.
Right, that's what I was looking
And,
at.
and I'm planning to go west on the fourth. So maybe I'd be back, well, I don't know what the next day, so I wouldn't be here in the second week. So
So-
I guess I'm saying the first and third. Just because I'm in April, I'm gonna leave the day after.
Oh, as opposed to the following week,
Yeah,
right?
I won't be here the following
Okay.
week.
So right now, okay, that's one consideration. Another consideration is our next select board meeting is Thursday, 7 March. We will have a brief select board meeting after the town meeting to clean up whatever little business we have after town meeting, the voting on officers of the board. But if we, and so we don't, so the next one in March will be Thursday, the 21st. So that would, we could do the third would be like a 2-week, 2.5
That
week.
would be 2.5 weeks for the second or for the third.
Third, so go to the first and third, starting in April,
First and third Wednesdays at 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Okay.
And the 21st, what time we're gonna meet on the 21st?
Did we want to revert to the 3 p.m. or stick with the
You can stay with, I'll be
5
back,
p.m.?
so you can stay with 5 or you can go with 3.
Go with two.
At this point, I just said, let's just prove everything's gonna be, our next meeting's at 3.
Let's do 3.
Yeah.
Let's do 3 rather than going 3,
Okay.
5 and then 3 forever. Okay,
Okay.
so 3 o'clock on
21st,
21st of March,
and then April
Okay.
3rd.
April 3rd, right, we'll get into that cycle. Alrighty, any board concerns or directives?
I have
Bob
a
or Wendy?
couple
Yep.
things from the MSW working group.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Just, we've started to kind of get our feet under us a little bit. And, couple things that came up. First, Megan had talked about the awkwardness of having to deal with change in the shed for the transfer station. And it talked about wanting to increase, if I know we'd held off increasing fees at all
Right, okay,
with the new transfer station hours, but just to facilitate the bank in there to not have like $7.50 for an item, make it $8, just round off the fees to the nearest dollar. Am I saying that correctly, Megan?
Correct.
So just wanted to run that by the board, see if there were any issues with that.
Just round up
to
the
Get
nearest
rid of the
dollar.
50 cents, so we don't have to worry
Well,
about it.
if you want to do that, Wendy, I think that's a great idea. So let's put that on the fees public hearing. That way,
for the water and,
Okay.
Do water, sewer and MSW fees. And let's
Okay.
go through and update the list.
No.
sure,
I think that's great for it'll simplify our operation a lot down there.
Yeah, yeah, it seems silly to have to chase, and there's a headache in the shops, I can't even imagine just sitting down there.
all right,
The other thing is, I know currently we have the little clothing bin for collection,
right,
and you already talked to them?
No, but the clothing company,
Yes,
I have talked to them.
that's Apparel Impact.
So
Yeah.
Apparel Impact will be replacing the current one we have tomorrow.
Oh, that's fast,
It is
nice.
very fast. They will be bringing brochures for us to pass out on Sunday so people are aware. They will be doing a co-op Facebook post. So they'll make a Facebook post, tag the Public Works Facebook, and I think the town's Facebook as well. So that way we can repost it in the News and Views group.
That's fantastic. Yeah, this group is way more intensive in just getting all textiles out of landfills. So,
So
A
this is the
t-shirt.
same group or a different group?
it's a different group.
right.
Yeah, these folks it's a family-run, veteran-owned business. They will take any textile. If it's a sheet that's been ripped, if it's a
Right.
t-shirt that you wouldn't normally donate, you can donate anything as long as it's not wet and moldy, even shoes. They'll take it all. And they hold kind of like shopping days in areas of need, but basically people can go through and pick out the clothing they want and don't necessarily have to pay for anything. They work with nurses for schools and areas of need to make sure that if there's a list of kids with certain needs and they have the clothing, they can fill that.
Great,
And then they make sure that anything that cannot
right,
either be given away that way or transferred into the secondary use market nationwide gets recycled.
was this the group that Barbara
Yes,
Laverty, I remember she
Yes.
brought it to our attention a while back,
yes.
and we never pulled the trigger on that,
Exactly.
but so.
Yeah, she reminded
She
us. about
reminded
that.
of it, good, good, good,
And the group is looking to reach out to the commercial units as well. to
Oh, good.
Inform them that they can, towels and bedding and stuff like that, that they would normally just throw away, they can put into this box as well.
Nice.
So what happens to the current vendor that's there?
So they'll be picking it up.
So they know,
They know, yeah.
They've been kind of easing away from doing the whole,
Mhm.
thrift shop type thing anyway, apparently.
They've been moving more into their coffee shop. is what they've
Yeah.
been doing.
Yeah, they're changing their ministries in that church that was doing it.
So this would be a new box, if you would,
Mhm.
by the Red Shed.
Correct.
And they will come weekly to pick it up, so there won't be
Yeah.
overflow and
Right.
bags here and everywhere. But the big thing is just to really get the word out there that they'll take everything, because textiles can take apparently up to
Could be a
10%
big
of your
box.
MSW. So, and I know with people, you purchase a unit, you don't necessarily want to use the old
Right.
sheets and whatever, so it's easy to get rid of them in a good way now.
I
Yeah,
just,
that's awesome.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
wondering with the sheets and all that thrown in, that's gonna be a lot. Even weekly,
Yeah,
We'll get it down to 10 tons a year.
yeah, so, one box, maybe two, I don't know, they may have to, but they will take care of that. I
They will
guess.
take
We
care of
don't
it.
want anything overflowing and all,
exactly.
we'll work with them,
We'll see what
Okay.
the volume is and they will adjust accordingly. If we need more boxes, they'll bring more.
great,
Yeah, yeah, it's very exciting.
right,
That was all.
nothing else?
Nope, not.
Nothing, Bob? Good. Alrighty, let's move on to correspondence. I think we have one email that came through the town portal that was addressed to the select board. Email was from Jenny Lucas on 6th February. And it concerned our plans for the reconstruction of Boulder Path Road. Hopefully I'll just summarize it hopefully correctly, is that Jenny, does not think that we should continue on with the one sheet of pavement as we did on, well, I'll just say as we did in 2023, and would like to see a barrier, not a barrier, but would like to see a land area as we do have now between the pedestrian walkway and the road when we finally finish. I believe she was keying off of the discussion we had where we said that we intended to redo Boulder Path Road in the pretty much the exact same way we had done Snowsbrook, Tecumseh, and part of Valley. So that was her request to us that we reconsider doing that particular plan for Boulder Path. So
Didn't
Any
you
questions?
reference the the committee?
the pedestrian study, yeah. So would you like to speak to the
Sure, yeah.
pedestrian study
I
and
mean-
what they had recommended, I think is what she's referring to.
Yes, and that recommendation had definitely been noticed and discussed by the town core working group years ago, since it first came out, with the acknowledgement that two-pronged acknowledgement. One, okay, perhaps if we had an extra 20-ish feet or so to really provide a healthy buffer for any trees or plantings.
Like a
in
landscape, I
there.
think that was, I was struggling to get that out, but that's what she was talking about.
Yes.
A landscaped area between the travel lanes
Right.
and the bike pedestrian lane.
What is illustrated in that study is just that, a full wide, I mean, it had to have been, I think, 15 to 20 feet wide to support healthy trees in there. And for ease in mowing and all of that. A, we don't really have that room, and B, we've tried the green strips and they've just turned brown. I'd hate to subject any trees or, gosh, the cleanup afterwards, to that type of cross view that they'd provided us. So from the beginning, the town core working group had been suggesting that perhaps we aren't quite that able to be that aggressive. Even though we do want to have, you know, something like what we've created now. So, you know, I understand in an ideal world, perhaps it would be great to have it that way, but I don't think it would fit with us. And that's what the recommendation has been from the group.
It's been my recollection that we used to have several trees in that, and over the years, they would just die. They could
Yeah.
not survive in what's there now.
We actually have a few stumps that we plan on
Right.
grinding down this summer.
Is there even one tree left? I remember for a long time there was just one, but I think that's probably gone now too. Bob, do you have a view in the matter?
I don't at the moment, I guess.
Okay.
She was alluding to the fact, I just saw it briefly before we met, but, she
Mhm.
was alluding briefly to the fact that we were going against the town core working group, and you, Wendy, you're saying that we're not, that we're.
No, I mean, the pedestrian village study did present that as an ideal solution. Of course, everything in the study is a recommendation. And I'm not sure that we followed everything right to the T. We had the group come in 2014, and things have just been modified a bit. And that was one thing that right from the get-go that the working group identified as a nice idea, but maybe not attainable.
From my perspective, I do think we need to be consistent
Hmm.
to what we've already done. I do worry about confusion if we have a little bit of a different layout on Boulder Path than we do with the other. roads.
She also mentioned the aesthetics of having dividers, I don't know what you call those,
The delineators.
The
the
delineators, yeah,
and maybe the number of delineators is
Yeah.
If we could just be
Well, I think in a straight way like that,
You
where
may
it's
not.
easy to keep them in eyesight, you probably don't need as many. There are sections where we do have, where they're denser, but there are curves.
Yeah, there
because
may
you
be
can't-
is there a safety requirement? For the
No,
number?
I think for the aesthetics piece, I just like to reiterate that Wendy's right, and the reason that we only had the 3 or 4 foot space between the sidewalk and the travel way for cars, especially along Snows Brook and along Village Road, was because of the limited right-of-way width. And Wendy's right, one truck drives across that in the spring and you can't get any grass to grow. So we kind of abandoned grass completely, and they ended up just as dirt spaces rather than being the green space that they were intended to be in the pedestrian study. So I think that's really important, that the aesthetics will never be really good given the limited right of ways that we have. I think that Megan is looking into some different ways to delineate, especially in the winter time, with a recessed reflector, and maybe we can get away from the delineators in the future, depending on how those work.
Or at least maybe we can cut down on the number. I think
Or
we
cut
had,
down on the number,
I
sure.
think we had more than we needed, on the initial
Mhm.
putting them down and,
And then their icons.
either one, the reflectors might be great, or having fewer delineators might be more appropriate.
Yeah, so the company that I reached out to who makes the reflectors that go into the little recessed area is sending me a sample of the 2 styles that they offer, so we can kind of gauge what we want. They do have a recommendation of one over the other due to some safety issues they've seen in the past with snow plowing, even though they're both snow plowable. If we want to go ahead, if we like them, we want to go ahead and try them, they will send a tech team out, do a section of the road for us so we can see how they fare through the summer and winter, and see if we truly like them, if they work for us.
Sure, I mean, it seems worth exploring. I have to say that all the comments I've heard, and I'm not exaggerating, everyone who's commented upon the way Snowsbrook and Tecumseh is laid out, very much likes that the way it is. At least people have talked to me, is what I'm trying to say. However, with regard to the delineators, certainly the comments I've gotten have been mixed. Would that be to me, my mind, some like them, some don't.
To me as
So-
well, I've had some people stop me, tell me that they really enjoy the multi-use path, it's, works really well. They have commented on Valley, going toward Boulder Path, how the lines are rubbed off right now, but that will get addressed. And then I have heard many of mixed feelings on the delineators themselves, so.
It's interesting that on Boulder Path, it drives me crazy how many people walk up the road instead of using the sidewalk in the summer.
Yep.
I can see in the winter if there's ice on the sidewalk and there's puddles or something, I can see that, but in the summer, I can't believe how many people walk right up the road as opposed to a sidewalk's right over there and they're up.
Saw it today.
Huh?
Saw it today. We had the brand new path and they're walking on the opposite side of it.
All right. So, I mean, Jenny, I know you watch these, and obviously the board disagrees with you on the engineering design for Boulder Path. I very much appreciate bringing this to our attention. It did spark certainly a discussion about the delineators, and maybe we can, and I think that was part of your issue as well.
Yeah.
We may be able to find a solution there. But you're welcome. I mean, it's, we're talking about the engineering phase now, so you'll have more bites of this apple. So anytime you'd like to come in, talk to the select
The
board about
plan,
it.
the plan wouldn't be to do this project till 2025.
25, it's the anticipated major road project for 2025. Although I think we have engineering money for
Yeah.
2024
Right.
to move along the path I just described.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a preliminary walk around with the engineer on the 20th to discuss both Jennings Peak Road, the engineering for that, and Boulder Path. So just to kind of, so he understands our ideas, what we're looking to do for Boulder Path, and see if it is with regards to the water and sewer, that is something they are
Yes.
able to do.
There are other complications with that road and some other ideas I think that Craig Larson has with regard to things along that road, like moving the what's the word I'm looking
Water
for?
line.
I'm sorry?
Water line out of this.
No, I'm talking about the structure he has in the middle, the
Gazebo.
gazebo, thank you, just came, wasn't it? Moving the gazebo he has in the middle of his property to the road, maybe having a little bit of a bump out, because people stop along that road to take pictures and replacing, we have also talked to him about replacing, I think a lot of the red maples there are either dead or dying that are along that road now, so.
Yeah, our plan, Rich, is to have the engineer walk through with Megan, come up
Mhm.
with some sketches, talk to the town core working group first with a presentation.
Great,
Get their input on the sketches, and then sit down with Craig as well. And get his ideas.
Sounds good.
sounds good, so Wendy, we'll just put you at the forefront
All right,
of that project. Unless you want to take the planning board over, we can no,
I think we're good.
I think we're good, okay. Alrighty, I don't think there's any other correspondence, do we need to have a non-public session? Is any, Mark, anything in
I-
non-public?
I don't need one.
Yeah. Either of my colleagues here, the board need one? No, okay, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn our regular board meeting.
So moved.
I will second that, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. And we are adjourned at 4:50, wow.
Goodness.
Okay.